This video is to help you connect your IBM Provinia Network GX5008 device to your network. As you can see, there's two units here. The bottom unit is the device that actually provides the protection. It's applying your IPS policies. The top unit is the bypass unit, and its whole purpose is to basically allow traffic to continue to flow in your environment should this device go down. So what we're going to talk you through today is quickly how to stage the unit in preparation for putting it in line, and then we'll talk through the connection you need to make to actually get it in line. So the first thing you're going to want to do when the devices arrive is unbox them and rack them in your environment, and then after powering them up, you want to connect the management port to your internal network, and we've already pre-configured the device such that we can get to it with the IP address that you gave us. So of course you'll connect this to your internal switch or whatever device makes sense in your environment. This allows us our remote access. Second, there's a console cable here. It's your basic 9-pin serial port. You're going to want to connect that here and then leave that connected and place the cable on top of the unit so that you can find it if we ever need it. Finally, you're going to want to give this device power. You do that through this USB cable that we've provided, and that powers this entire unit. Okay, so that's the first thing you're going to do. Once you get it to that point, you've made all the changes to your firewalls and your network address translation tables like we've instructed, then we should be able to communicate with this device, and we're ready to talk about phase 2, which is actually putting the unit in line in your network, which of course requires some downtime that you've likely already pre-scheduled. So essentially the way the unit works is this unit is capable of monitoring 4 segments in line, and the bypass unit has 4 segments that correspond to that. So in our example, I'm going to assume that this segment up here perhaps is going to protect the network that heads to the internet. So in your connections or in your network the way it is today, you'll have a cable going from the internal port on your firewall to an internal switch. Well, what we're going to do is you're going to take that connection, you're going to basically send it through here. So in port 1, we're going to connect that directly to the internal port of your firewall in my example. And in the second port here, you're going to take that and connect it to the switch where that firewall port used to connect. So I've just got some network cables here we're going to pretend with. Of course, we'll connect the first one. That one will go to your internal port of your firewall. And then we'll take our second cable here. And that one will connect to your internal switch. So essentially what happens is if this unit fails, that traffic continues to flow directly from this port to this port. But when this bottom unit is actually up and running, the traffic actually gets routed into port 1A on the GX5008, and then it comes out of port 1B. So essentially the data flows down to the device, back up, and then out to the internal switch. So you've basically put this in line in your network. And then essentially after that, you do the exact same thing for other segments that you want to connect to. So this one would protect segment 2, this one would protect segment 3. Now in some examples, perhaps you don't want to have some of your devices, or you don't want to have some of your network segments in line. You can use some of the ports to act as an intrusion detection device. So in that case, you would completely skip the bypass unit altogether. You would go ahead and configure your internal switches such that they're mirroring that data, and then you would just connect that mirrored port to one of these devices, for example. So in this scenario, you're connecting directly into the GX5008, and this particular port is just IDS mode. We're not really routing any traffic through the device. It's all being mirrored here. So in that example, you're handling the range of inline devices with 3 segments, and then we actually have 2 available ports here for IDS mode.